Today is Ash Wednesday, and it begins the season of Lent. The season of Lent is a period of 40 days till Holy Saturday, but not counting the 6 Sundays which come in between, because on Sunday we celebrate the resurrection of the Lord. So beginning from today till Holy Saturday, excluding Sundays, is a 40-day period in which the church invites us to go back to the 40 years of Israel in the wilderness, to the 40 days of Jesus in the desert before he began his mission. The readings chosen during the season of Lent are all an invitation to each one of us to make an introspection about our relationships with ourselves, first of all, our relationships with others, and our relationship with nature, the environment, and our relationship with God. Very clearly, our relationships with ourselves, with others, and nature will determine our relationship with God. And so we are invited on Ash Wednesday to make an introspection, to make a very deep inner reflection. And the readings ask us how to do that. In the gospel text of today, which is chosen from the Gospel of Matthew and part of Matthew's Sermon on the Mount, Jesus chooses 3 pious practices of his time, tells us how they were being practiced by the larger majority, and exhorts us, instructs us how we must practice them. These 3 practices are almsgiving, prayer, and fasting. When Jesus speaks about almsgiving and he talks about how usually people give alms, he says that people usually like everyone to know that they are giving alms. Their almsgiving is ostentatious. Their almsgiving is showy. Their almsgiving is done to win the admiration of those who see them and to try to win their favor. However, Jesus speaks to his disciples and exhorts them that when they give alms, they must do it in secret, and he uses a very beautiful way of saying this when he says, the left hand of the person must not even know what the right hand is doing. The almsgiving must be in secret, and the Father who is in heaven and sees everything, including what is done in secret, will become aware of the almsgiving. The second point which Jesus takes of the pious practice is prayer. Often people would stand in the synagogues at the time of Jesus and make prayers in show to everyone watching them. They would go as close as they could possibly go, and they would stretch their arms out and even sometimes mouth prayers loudly, talking as if God could not hear. The reason why they would pray in that manner more often than not was to impress people that they were holy, that they were righteous, that they were prayerful. Jesus, however, exhorts his disciples about how they must pray. He says, the prayer must be in secret. No one should know that you are praying. When you do your prayer, when you make your prayer in secret, the Father is aware of that. And so the prayer must be in a private place as far as possible. The prayer must be not so much in an external private place, but in the private place of one's heart. One's life then becomes prayer. And while prayer can be recited, while prayer can be spoken, while prayer is verbal, prayer largely is action. In other words, my prayer must make me a better person. My prayer must make me a more loving person. My prayer must make me a person who reaches out. If I regard myself as a prayerful person, it is not because I spend hours reciting or mouthing or verbalizing prayers. It is because besides doing that, I also let my prayer transform my life. I become more giving. I become more serviceable. I reach out more because of my prayer. If my prayer is not changing me, if my prayer is not making me more loving and giving, then I need to reflect on whether I am really praying. Because prayer is the means to reach God. Prayer is the means to implore and petition God to transform my life. And if my life is being transformed on a daily basis because of my prayer, which is done in secret, then that prayer is not only efficient, it is also efficacious. The third pious practice which Jesus speaks about is fasting. Often when people fast, they like people around them to know that they are fasting. Their fasting is a very external fasting. They make sure that people are aware that they have really made this fast, they have done this fast, as if they were doing God a favor by fasting. Jesus, however, tells his disciples that when they fast, they must put oil on their head and they must wash their face. In other words, the indication is that there is externally nothing which indicates to a person that I am fasting. However, what is more important than the fast from external food, which is good even for one's health to fast once a week? What is more important is what Joel tells us in the first reading of today when he says, your fast must be an internal fast. When you fast and moan and weep, it must not be an external show, but it must be an internal disposition. And so today, I fast not only from food, but I fast from all the negatives. I fast from anger. I fast from revenge. I fast from frustration. I fast from jealousy. I fast from envy. I fast from pride. I fast from anything which takes me away from others. I fast from anything which takes me away from God. In the second reading of today, Paul regards us as ambassadors for Christ. An ambassador for a country or for a person becomes that country's or person's representative in another place. So when Paul tells us and exhorts us not to lose sight of this privilege which we are given to be ambassadors for the Lord, this is what he means. Not merely that our verbal proclamation of the Lord is enough, but we must show that we are ambassadors by the actions that we perform. Then others who see us as ambassadors of Christ will ask us who we are and why we do what we do. And that would be the time to communicate the Lord of the universe to everyone who wants to know him. As we enter the season of Lent, I invite you to focus on these 3 pious practices in your own life and maybe others that you might want to reflect on, and ask yourself whether your focus is only or primarily on the external of almsgiving, of prayer and of fasting, or whether you are going to internalize these like the prophet Joel asks us to do, so that the Lord may look at us and others may look at us and be inspired that we are ambassadors for Christ. I wish each one of you a holy and blessed season of Lent.